This week on the internet, the series will talk about all the topics of us during the week. And first up, we have Nintendo pledging to take action against not safe for work use of their characters. And if this does start happening, it's going to light the internet on fire. Nintendo's already super strict with their IP, so I get why they do this, but I don't know if this would go over well for them. I don't think the same rules apply to like mods as like not safe for work artwork. I don't think they can enforce it the same way. Unless, of course, Nintendo claims ownership of these not safe for work pictures, because that's basically what they'd have to do. Now, they haven't taken action yet or said explicitly what they plan to do. The only thing that's happened as of now is a shareholder joined a meeting and was like, hey, I saw this not safe for work stuff. Is that okay? Even though this stuff has existed the entire time and he hasn't noticed. But yeah, I don't even know if they can take action against this stuff. I'm just going off of what I see, and what I see is no other company going after this stuff. And I think that's for a reason, and it's probably a reason Nintendo shouldn't ignore. And next up, some good Nintendo news. Nintendo has pledged to not use generative AI in their games, or at least their first-party games. They don't have control over third-party games. But this is good news. I would prefer less generative AI in games. I don't have an issue with machine learning, okay? I don't have an issue with the standard technology that makes work that shouldn't even exist easier. Cutting out an image is tedious work no one has to do. No one should do it. Let the AI do that. But unlike other companies like EA and Xbox who are fully on board for generative AI, Nintendo is not. Now, it's not for some noble reason like protecting artists or something. It seems like it's mainly for legal reasons. Basically, when you make something with generative AI, you don't own the IP of whatever you made because it's not made by a person, and that's what Nintendo is concerned about. They might have IP issues, so they're just not going to do it. I'm glad they're not doing it. I do wish, though, it was for a different reason, like they're artists, but, you know, I'll take what I can get. At least it's not like EA, where every article talking about it sounds like all the employees are being held hostage, forced to do it. Like, they don't want to do it at all. And next up, we have more Nintendo news. Nintendo is claiming the Switch 2 won't have any shortage because they're going to stock it enough to not have any shortages. Now, I don't necessarily believe this, mainly because I feel like no matter how many you have, you're going to have stock issues depending on what that number is. Like, they'd really have to overshoot to make sure there are no shortages. So I'm doubtful in that regard. And I'm also doubtful because consoles being hard to get is kind of a reason they sell well. Like back with the Xbox refrigerator and PS5 launch, the Xbox was super easy to get, but the PS5 was super hard to get, like ridiculously hard to get. It got to a point where there's so many bots buying it, you had to get a bot to buy it. It actually was impossible to get a PS5 without using a bot. But that shortage made the console more desirable because you couldn't have it. It existed, and a bunch of people around you had it, but you didn't, and that helped its sales. So I'm thinking the Switch 2 is going to have a similar problem, maybe to a lesser extent, but I feel like this is a marketing tactic. I feel like it's a way to make people think there's going to be a lot of stock, and then when it's sold out, people are going to be like, oh my god, they sold out all that stock? Oh my god. So we'll see what happens with that. And next up, we have Cenat's fake fireworks. And I'm not going to show them going off here, unfortunately, because his video is age restricted, and I'm not getting age restricted. So here's the fake room with the fireworks in it. They lit them on fire. You could just imagine that happening. And they didn't tell anybody it was a fake room, so it looked like they exploded. Twitch reportedly almost banned them for this, which makes sense because you should probably tell whatever platform you're on you're going to do this, because this kind of dumb stuff, if not done like this, looks really, really bad. But I guess it was also part of the publicity, like getting banned. Like if they did get banned, it would have solidified it being real. Oh yeah, then Mr. Beast was there, kind of like confused most of the time. But yeah, good stunt. I'm a fan of it. And next up, we have Rock U 2024. Which is not a good thing at all. It's actually a huge hack with 10 billion passwords being leaked. Yeah. So the way this is being framed is a little misleading. It is not 10 billion new passwords. It is 10 billion passwords total. Only 1.5 billion are new, which is still a lot of passwords, but not 10 billion. The forum user Obamacare is the one who posted all of these leaks. And they posted it in a file called rocku2024.txt. Very formal. And the updated password list has passwords from Ticketmaster, Advanced Auto Parts, Quote Wizard, and Santander, whatever that is. I've never seen this company in my life. What is this company? Oh, it's a bank, which is really bad. That's really bad. Now, if you're worried about your password being leaked, you probably should be a little bit. So I recommend going to haveibeenpwned.com. Just type in your email, and it'll tell you if your passwords have been leaked. And I guarantee you, you've had a few leaked. If you are over the age of 16, you've had passwords leaked. I guarantee you. So I'd recommend going over there and changing whatever passwords have been compromised. And no, it's not sponsored before the one guy in the comments says it is. And next up, we have another hack. And this time, it is Authy who got hacked. And you might know who they are because they're a two-factor authentication app. And them getting hacked is really bad because it defeats the whole purpose of them existing. You see, Authy was nice because you didn't have to use a phone number to authenticate accounts, which doesn't really matter anymore because they leaked phone numbers, so that's bad. And it also allowed for false authentication, which in short means it allowed for some hacks to take place because that's what that is on a two-factor authentication app. Now they've taken action and they've shut down any exploits, so their app is currently not being actively exploited and used against people, but still, a security company should not be having data breaches like this. A security company should just never have a data breach. It should be the only company that never has an article saying they've lost millions of cell phone numbers. Ideally, no company would have that happen, but a security company especially should never have that happen. It's their only job. And next up, I want to talk about the government version of Windows 11 that I've seen floating around. So, first off, I want to say, if you're an average user, don't download this. Just don't. Realistically, you can if you want to. It's just a bad idea. This version of Windows is completely debloated, which sounds great, but that also means there's no Windows Defender, which leaves your computer kind of vulnerable. So if you really don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't get this. And the computer has nothing on board on install. It's completely debloated, not even a web browser. So unless you know how to install a web browser without a web browser, you should not get this. Framing of this Windows 11 version has been interesting because no one has mentioned in the headlines that it is the Chinese version of Windows 11, which means this piece of software, Windows 11 government, is a Chinese version of Windows, and it is updated by China. So if you got this version of Windows, you would have updates from the Chinese government, which you probably don't want. This whole version of Windows was created so the Chinese government can have full control over Windows. And it's debloated so people in the Chinese government aren't worried about Americans spying on them. That's literally it. And since they get full control over this version of Windows, it's probably gonna have their own spyware on it for themselves because it's a government operating system. So yeah, in general, I would just avoid this unless you know what you're doing. And next up, Amazon bricked their $2,300 Astro robots 10 months after release. So these were like security robots. They're basically just ring cameras on wheels. That's like pretty much it. And they've been discontinued after 10 months, presumably because no one bought them. They're kind of stupid. Like at the point where you feel like you need one of these, you might as well just get a security guard because you probably already have cameras positioned at places they need to be. So yeah, this product was like pretty silly. And even though Amazon is bricking them, they're giving full refunds automatically and a $300 credit on top of that. So honestly, not really a big deal that they bricked these. They got to use them for 10 months. They got a full refund plus $300. That's a pretty good deal. And next up, we have another security disaster. It was found that OpenAI was storing ChatGPT conversations on Mac in plain text. And for those of you who don't realize why this is super bad, let's imagine someone hacks your computer. Usually, all your files are somewhat encrypted, at least your important stuff. So if someone steals your data, they would have to unencrypt your files to access the data. It's a very standard layer of security. And OpenAI didn't do that. Now, they since fixed the issue, but that's still ridiculous it even happened. Like, actually pathetic for a company. And on top of that, OpenAI was also hacked and never said they were. They never disclosed that little detail. The longer OpenAI exists, the more I perceive them as a clown company that has made nothing in their entire careers. Like, ChatGPT is just a bunch of data that they stole, or at least allegedly stole, legally speaking. And all of their stuff is so broken in stupid ways. It's ridiculous. The fact that Apple let ChatGPT launch on Mac without encryption is insane. And the fact that OpenAI let that happen is insane. This company can't even act like they're taking security seriously. Like plain text? Really? And that big hack they never disclosed was last year. It was a while ago. And they never brought that up. Now, apparently the hack had nothing to do with ChatGPT itself. It was only internal data, like company memos and stuff, and conversations employees had with each other, things like that. But I also don't believe them. I would assume that everything they had in that system is gone. It's been stolen. It's a fair assumption to make when all these people do is lie about everything constantly. And next up, YouTube added an erase song feature to erase copyrighted music from your videos without taking out your voice, which is cool. It's a cool use of AI. I am sure this thing is going to have problems, at least at first, but this is a good feature and no one should be against this except for music companies, but like, who cares? They're archaic and should go under anyways. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to follow me through spatnz1 and click the Instagram for more content and have a good one.